I want to start with something, I don't usually do this, but I want to start with something a little personal, um, because I think it's important to share. So about a month ago, my mother passed away from cancer, and I want to dedicate this session to her. Her name was Kathleen, so I want to dedicate it to Kathleen Shore. And she fought pretty hard for the cancer, but I also want to highlight that after one of her treatments last winter, one of her major side effects was migraine, and she dealt with them in as a big part of those few months dealing with the treatment she'd had. And, it just shows that it's a lifelong disease. It can show up for all sorts of reasons. She'd had migraine attacks that were mainly aura for the most of her life, like on occasion. But they definitely flared up, and she even got some other symptoms after the treatment. But I just want to dedicate this to her memory and, feel that that just gives me strength. So I just appreciate everyone letting me to share that. Um, Completely unrelated. Thank you, Kyla. I hope I said your name right. Please tell me if I didn't. Um, but completely unrelated to that, the prompt for this week is a little different. So I want you to think about your day. It doesn't have to be today. It could be a different day if today was like awful and you don't even want to think about it. But think about a day in your life, but describe it from the point of view of one of two points of view you can choose. Either someone who lived hundreds of years ago or an alien from outer space. So again, describe a day you've had recently or today, as if you were watching it and you're an alien from outer space or someone from several hundred years ago. I'm going to let us jump right in, since we did start a couple minutes late. And in about 10 minutes, I'll call you back and we can talk about it. I'll give a 1 minute warning when just to wrap up your thoughts. And you can write sort of straight from the heart. You can write a poem, you can write a description, you can write a list, however you want to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. So I'll let you all jump right in. We have about a minute left. Okay, I'm going to start to bring everyone back. You can keep writing and not join the discussion. That's totally fine. Sometimes it's nice to, I've heard writers give the advice of like leave a sentence unfinished. So when you go back to it, you have the momentum. So that's always a choice. But I'd love to hear how that went for everyone who wants to participate. I have to say, I chose the alien perspective, and I was totally caught up in just observing my own outfit, that I didn't get much farther than that. um, like sneakers were totally confounded the alien. Like, they have skin. Why do they have to wear sneakers? But anyway, so that's where I ended up, but I'd love to hear where everyone else ended up.
If nobody else wants to speak up, I will. I wrote down, it's quite a simple paragraph, and I wrote it as an alien and observer, having little background. What I wrote is, it started the day like any other day, but with a better attitude. This is likely due to his new migraine treatment that he did the night before. Bunch of things happened to him on that day: getting up earlier, getting stuff done on a tight schedule in the morning, multiple meetings during the day, an email that gave him joy, seeing him and finally doing and completed his taxes. He seemed to be productive and seemed to get a lot done. He also took time to do an acute migraine treatment during the day to stop an increasing migraine. In the evening, he took some time out for himself, celebrated his accomplishments with a great dinner and a bit of diet cheating, did his exercise routine and catching up on a few tasks in the evening after watching some uplifting TV shows. He then made a middle evening call and continued to give him great joy. Got to bed very late, but he seemed to be happy and full of joy. It was a good day.
Was that a recent day, James?
Yesterday,
Wow.
I got word that I'm going to be able to adopt a bird to replace the bird I lost last month. From a bird adoption agency without going through all their stringent protocols, given my experience.
That's awesome.
And got some stuff, and I finally got back to doing my taxes, and just started using a Cephaly.
How do you like it?
And so far, it has been quite useful and quite successful.
Nice.
It's one, my neurologist was skeptical, but he said to go ahead and try it anyway because it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not the most comfortable thing in the world to use, but
Mhm.
it's, at least initially, because I've only had it for 3 days,
Mhm.
but it seems to be dramatically helping with my migraines, and it's one of the most cost effective migraine external solutions that are out there. Yeah, and you don't need a prescription for it.
I don't think I realized that.
You can just go online and buy it
What?
from their website. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's $300 around that price. I think
Mhm,
at times they have it on sale with 15% off. I'm not sure they do it right now. And
mhm.
if you have a military connection, they will give you a military discount if you ask.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I've already modified the treatment because they like you to do it with lying down so gravity doesn't pull the thing,
Mm.
pull on the adhesive. But I took a rubber band that was designed for trash cans that fit just right around my head. And that way I can work at my computer or walk around and still keep pressure on it for it. And it's working marvelously. But it could be the placebo effect too, because I spent $300 and it's brand new. So time will tell.
I need
But
to
so far,
know.
I'm very impressed. It works on the trigeminal nerve that's up in here, which I
Mhm.
also developed a new treatment for that my neurologist, Dr. Cowan, who's head of a headache clinic at Stanford, approved for me to share, which I will be sharing as soon as I have time on Miles for Migraine and with the groups I facilitate. And it costs pennies to do.
Thank you for sharing, Jim.
So
Did you
sorry I went
feel?
on so long, but you
No,
got
no,
me started and
I want to ask you, first of all, that's really helpful information, I think, to share with everyone. Um, and I think we're all just really happy because we've all been following each other's journeys for quite a while now. So it's always nice when someone even has just a good day. Um, but I'm just curious, in terms of writing about it, since you're writing not from your own point of view, but as someone watching you, how did that feel to write it from a different point of view?
it felt like I was analyzing what I have been doing and just and finding out if in fact I've been doing the right thing, so that if I'm not, that I could do better.
Mm. Do you think that's a helpful exercise to do again?
Yes, because it's a tool that can keep you on track forever, whatever you're using your tools and procedures for, because it's a
Mm.
way of being accountable to yourself, which is
Yep.
often so difficult to do.
Yeah. Thank
So
you
I
so
think
much
it's a
for
very good
sharing.
exercise.
Good. I'm glad it was helpful. Um, I would love to hear if anyone else wants to share.
I can go ahead. I also did the alien, but my alien was incredibly smart, so I didn't have to explain anything.
My alien was apparently a newbie, so
Yeah, I realized even when I was doing it that it's kind of like this isn't really the point. But I
there's
did
no
today,
never a
right?
one. Yeah.
I knew you'd feel that way. So I did today, which has been challenging, I think, because I'm just trying to do too much. Um, and so the alien observed that in the beginning, my first 3 tasks, I was fine. And then it's just been downhill from there of not completing before my next thing started to the last 2 events I was 30 minutes late to because I completely forgot about them. I was on time for this, so I'm making progress. But I thought the alien would be a lot more judgmental. And so it was really interesting to see that it was just like, yeah, she's just struggling, but also pointing out that, like, but when she's whatever it is she's doing in that moment, she's there. Like, even though I'm aware and even said, at 9 a.m. this morning, like, I'm trying to juggle too many balls. This isn't working. Um, at least when I'm in each activity, when I finally get there,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm there. So at least that's
That's
that.
awesome. That's a nice insight to have.
Yeah.
But thank
So
you
And
for
it was,
sharing, because it reminded me that I was also doing pacing during the period by taking the time to address my increasing migraine. And by the way, my pain level went from traditionally the last few months from 5s to 7s down to 2s and 3s.
right.
I think it's good to have that outside perspective on yourself And especially if you can extend some kindness to yourself. And like I know from personal experience, it can be really hard to focus when you're dealing with migraines. So it's, that's just the way it is. And it's hard to focus in our society anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for the hot button.
Yeah, we're just not even going to touch that.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to share?
Well, if we're done sharing, I think it's nice. Thank you, Jen, for sharing, and thank you, Heidi. I took from it that I thought this session was very, very positive and upbeat, Lisa. And I'm wondering if the prompt is what helped it to be, because as I think Heidi and Jen both said, the alien allowed us to recognize what we are doing and not what we're not doing. And I think that's sort of that is a frame of reference I think I'm going to take into my daily toolbox, because there are so many things I worry about that I don't do, and I need to applaud what I do. So
Yeah,
thank
think
you.
about someone is watching you. I mean, you're probably never not doing something, even if you're resting, that's something you need to do.
Yes.
It's
And,
different from watching my cats who are just like lazy little lumps that just sit there.
That's right. Although they give us love, right? Thank you. Any other questions for Lisa before we say goodnight?
Could I make a comment about what you're saying, if I could have a few seconds? That I came to a realization, perhaps even as much as a year ago, that links into this, is that at some point I realized that everything we do, everything we say, emits a form of energy, whether it be light, sound, or whatever. And that is being broadcast into the universe. And all it takes for the observation is the right technology for wherever that stuff goes. But we could literally be being watched. And it's, I guess, a point of view that is often not considered, that we are making a recording in history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's potentially possible for others to see it.
A lot to think about, Jim.
I
Our minds
feel
can go.
like my mind just melted.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
But I love it. I love it. I think sometimes I like to have the absurd enter the room, and that's kind of where the idea of the alien or even like I don't know, the person from a long time ago, which maybe didn't resonate as much, but just something totally absurd and out of the normal kind of poke its head in. So I'm glad it was uplifting.
Very good.
thank you so much, Lisa.
Anytime.
And remember to check in again in a couple weeks for our next mindfulness night. And as always, Lisa's sessions will be on the Miles for Migraine website if you want to revisit some old prompts and things. All right. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.